Lagos is building. Lagos is thinking. Lagos is walking. And of course, Lagos is planning for a connected Lagos. Let's know more about our great city, Lagos. You're welcome. Lagos. You're still watching the City of Lagos TV show on TV Nigeria. Welcome to the Commissioners platform, where we bring you one-on-one special promotional interviews with honorable commissioners in Lagos State, all in the bid to project the Themes Plus agenda of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. When you look at the Themes Plus agenda, one of the very strategic pillars is the transportation sector. And of course, this is one sector Lagosians have witnessed a revolutionary change in various aspects of public transportation in the city of Lagos. And of course, there is a strategic ministry in charge of transportation, talking about the Ministry of Transportation in Lagos State, under the able leadership of the Honorable Commissioner, Mr. Oluwaseun Oshiyemi. Today, we're here to verify and ascertain the level of achievement so far in line with the vision, mission, statement, and of course, the mandate of the ministry. I want to welcome you, sir.
Good afternoon. How are you?
It's a pleasure. First, we would like you to give us a brief but precise profile of your distinguished self, both in the professional angle and, of course, in government.
Thank you very much. My name, like you said, is Oshiyemi Oluwaseun. I attended University of Lagos as my first degree, and I did a master's in business administration in Ogun State University. I did another master's in business administration in Bangor University in Wales, United Kingdom. I'm also a chartered banker. I worked in the banking sector for about 2 decades, and then, of course, did a bit of business and then politics, and of course, here we are today.
Okay, to what extent has the ministry under your leadership been able to live up to its vision, mandate, and mission statement in line with the agenda?
Thank you very much. Like you also rightly identified, transportation is the first T in the Themes Plus agenda, and which obviously shows the importance of the transportation system to Lagos State and to Mr. Governor. Lagos is peculiar in the sense that we have well over 20 million people, and you have to be intentional in how you move goods and services, otherwise there will be chaos and problem. On the backdrop of that, the Transportation Ministry has been charged the responsibility to ensure that we're able to sort out the movement of goods and services. So in essence, we've adopted what we call the multimodal integrated transport system. This system is one such that we've adopted all the transportation modes, from the land to the water to the rail, and of course the air as well. That way, you will be able to give people options, one, and also to be able to move people seamlessly and, of course, reduce congestion on the road.
Now, what is the current policy thrust of the Lagos State Transport Laws? Maybe you need to fill us in. What is the state of that law? Are there new ideas injected into the transport law in order to develop the transport sector?
The current transport law that we have is that of Transport Law of 2018, which is, of course, presently being worked on, presently in the State of Assembly for ratification. By then, that's done will be Transport Law of 2024. But I'm delighted to let you know that this year, earlier this year, we did launch our transport policy. The transport policy, of course, is supposed to create a framework. I'd call it a roadmap for transportation in Lagos. This only does not show us what the plans of the government is. It also creates this kind of framework and assurances for private investors to be able to come into Lagos and Nigeria as able to invest. This reassurance is needed because transportation, like we know, is very capital intensive, and you must create platforms to be able to encourage private sector play. So this transport policy, of course, has done a lot in that space. Also knowing that we're moving to sustainable energy when it comes to transportation in terms of environmental play and also to ensure that we have reduced the carbon emission. So the transport policy also speaks to the movement from fossil fuel to CNGs and to electric buses. So all of those things we're saying is all encompassing and inside the transport policy. The whole idea is to be able to move to sustainable energy.
Commissioner, the transportation sector in Lagos State has actually witnessed tremendous improvement in recent times, especially rail transportation, the rail sector. But there is an angle to it, the ability to sustain its operation. What are those infrastructural initiatives by the government to make sure that there's a smooth operation of the rail system?
Like you rightly identified, the rail system is quite a capital intensive one. It's one that you must have a lot of, for the use of word, guts to be able to get into. It's one that is very technical. It's one that you actually need to have a lot of expertise in. So in that play as well, what we have done is we have consulted foreign partners who, of course, would run this train for a particular period of time and train our people, pretty much talking about transfer of skills. So they will train our people for 1-2 years and then hand over for our own management. But the ultimate game is for all our train that the red and the blue that we've done, there's going to be some concessionaire with private sector for a period of time to ensure sustainability and continuity, and also to ensure that all of the fares that you've established are quietly and well nipped from the bud.
Okay, considering what we have, some of the challenges of power in Nigeria, what is the position of the government? Recently, there was a slight fire on the Blue Rail, and of course, it was actually put off expectedly. So, power is key for a rail system. What is the government, what is the ministry, what are those strategies put in place to make sure that you do not have challenges?
Thank you very much. Maybe the first thing I need to define is to differentiate the two rails that we have on ground as we speak, which is the blue line and the red line. The blue line is powered by electricity, whilst the red line is powered by fossil fuel, diesel. So the blue line is peculiar, is one of the kind in West Africa, if not Africa. It's the first environmental friendly initiative done by any country, state or country in West Africa and Africa as a whole. It's powered by electricity. The first phase is from Marina to Mile 2. That project took us a lot of time and technical expertise to be able to complete. We have a dedicated national grid that powers the train, and also the trains have batteries that they carry. So peradventure that the grid goes off, the batteries can still carry the train to a large extent. We didn't only stop at that. Now we have an IPP, an independent power plant that of course is also can trigger off if we need to get to that. But I mean, we have all of those three major source of power. You can be rest assured. You mentioning the fire outbreak that did happen the last time. Yes, we all understand that accidents do happen, and because it's electricity, it was a spark that did happen, and then of course was noticed and quickly put back in shape. Part of the expertise and skill transfer I'm talking about was what happened. We had our guys on ground who could easily go there. They had to shut down that part of that circuit to ensure for them to be able to get onto that. Don't forget that it's electricity. So they did all of that and ensure that they put all of those things back in place. And in no time, in less than 24 hours, the train was back working. In charge of our rail line is Lamata. Lamata is charged to, of course, for our trains and also our buses and for urban development and urban transportation.
I was going to come to your oversight function on all your agencies. You just mentioned one, which is Lamata. What has been the level of synergy, collaboration between the ministry and your sister agency?
Thank you very much. The ministry, of course, has about 9 agencies, if I may say. Lamata is one of it. Lamata is charged for the urban transportation, which of course deals with train and also our buses. Each agency is a standalone, probably has a GM or an MD that runs the company, but as a whole, they all have a dotted reporting line to the ministry. The ministry does the oversight function. For Lamata, they have an STMP that they work with, which is to go and deliver some. They have deliverables in which they are being charged on, and then they work on that. We also have the likes of the Parking Authority. We have LASDRI. We have MVA, who is in charge of vehicle registration. We have LASMA. I mean, we have 9 of them. I can reel them all out for you. But the important thing is for us to now ensure that there's a collaboration amongst all of these agencies in ensuring that we have an efficient transport management system in the state, and also ensure that all our transportation modes are integrated and they work hand in hand. Because without integration, it defeats all the purpose of having all of those transportation modes. So we ensure that all of our agencies work hand in hand to be able to collaborate and have a free flow and ensure good transportation in Lagos.
Thank you very much, Honorable Commissioner. Now, when it comes to the business of transportation, very key is funding. What has been the funding approach of transport, public transportation in Lagos? Is the ministry more dependent on funding from the government, or you have corporate financial backing?
Funding, like you rightly said, is the heart of everything. And for transportation, because transportation is very capital intensive, you must open it up to private play. Where there's a lot of PPP that goes on, between the ministry, between the state and also private sector. The first thing you need to do is to create a good transportation policy framework that gives the confidence that if I get into business in this space, my investment is secured. The moment that is established, then you would get interest into people coming, private sector coming to play, because they know what direction and which way you're going. So once that is established, then, of course, there are PPP arrangements with the states whereby they take on the funding, and then we create those platforms for them, and there's a sharing formula for how it works. Also, as a state, you must show some form of, I'll say, level of participation, whereby you need to put your skin in the game. And for some of these transactions that we do, we put our skin in the game. For example, in the water space, the state just funded and just give out about 25 ferries to private operators, fully funded by the state. Also, for our blue line and our red line, the state has shown a lot of enthusiasm by doing all of this transaction by themselves. And then, of course, some loans were taken to get this, but we know that by the time we concessionaire these things, they would, of course, play out and the monies will be recovered. Transportation is not where the only thing you think about is profit. It has to do with what you can give to, the value you can give to the citizens. And of course, that has multiplier effect from you creating a very good environment where people can move around and services can be done, which of course will increase your GDP and all of whatnot. So the funding we're talking about comes from one, either by bank loan, either by the way of having PPP with private sector, or whatever it is that works for you.
How is the Fourth Mainland project coming? Can we get an update on that?
The Fourth Mainland Bridge is one that is ongoing. All the drawings, all the diagrams are all in place. Discussion around the funding is also ongoing. And I'm sure before the end of this dispensation, we will be able to have taken at least the first phase of it.
To what extent has the ministry, under your leadership, been able to put in place adequate road infrastructure and traffic management control?
Thank you very much. As a ministry, we did a lot of feasibility studies, and 60 junctions were actually identified in Lagos. 60 junctions that actually do cause the gridlocks. And I can say to you confidently that we've covered about 80% of that, and it's still ongoing. What that does is that the moment you do those junction improvements, you're able to deal with the gridlocks. We didn't stop at that. We also understand and appreciate the importance of the road infrastructures you need to put in place, i.e. the medians, the road markings you need to do for safety, and all the necessary, even traffic lights. So all of those things are things that we already identified. We know where we have these needs, and then we keep working on them. And for the ones we need to improve on, we keep improving on them.
It will be quite important to know how prepared is the Ministry of Transportation, especially with regards to local government autonomy. The focus is allowing the local governments, giving them adequate funding directly. I mean, letting them to manage their funds. Now, when we talk about the local government, we have huge road networks within the local government areas. And if the autonomy scales through, of course, we know there's still some controversies on it. How do you intend to adjust to the development?
Local government autonomy does not mean full separation.
Of course, yes.
As we speak, we also have classification of roads within Lagos State. There are some roads that are state, and there are some that are federal. There's also function overlap between the state transportation, now bringing it back home to transportation. There's also overlap between transportation and also the local governments in area of either functions in parking or in enforcement of rules and laws or tax collections or revenue generating items in Lagos State. So I can tell you for free there's a lot of collaboration ongoing whereby the local governments have ceded some of these responsibilities to the states, especially the transportation system. And there's an arrangement of payments, a shared arrangement in which everybody is comfortable in what is done. Why that is done is some functions are best done by the Transportation Ministry. And that, of course, I expect would continue with the autonomy or no autonomy. So I don't see the autonomy being a problem. I just see an opportunity of collaborating more.
Well, we'll be speaking with the Honorable Commissioner for Transportation, Lagos State, giving us deep insight into efforts, initiatives, projects of the ministry to improve the transportation sector in Lagos. So talking about Mr. Oluwaseun. Now, Honorable Commissioner, it would be good to know the level of synergy and collaboration or cooperation with the Federal Ministry of Transportation and transport agencies of the federal government as well as other states of the Federation.
Like I explained to you earlier, we have the federal roads and the state roads, even within Lagos State. We also have federal bodies and state bodies. And I'll give an example. We'll take typically the LASMA and the road safety. There's good collaboration between the LASMA and the FRIC. We also have other federal bodies in Lagos. You know, the whole idea is that we ensure good collaboration, and interestingly, we have a body of commissioners of transportation in Nigeria, who, of course, from time to time, we engage all of these federal bodies where we have issues and we deal with them before they become things that actually go out of hand. So the collaboration not only just does not end on the job on its own, it also gets into stakeholders' engagement. So there's always constant engagement and policies whereby they want to create policies. There's an agreement to those policies before even bringing them on. That way, the collaboration is very tidy and it works perfect.
All right, thank you very much. Honorable Commissioner, we would like to, just for the benefit of Lagosians, to also get to know what you're doing with regards to monitoring. Of course, we're made to understand that there are security cameras in strategic places in Lagos. But from research, there's a lot that needs to be done in monitoring the transport flow or traffic flow in Lagos. I understand there is a central monitoring point where you have LASEMA, okay? But for the ministry, is there any innovative initiative with regards to beefing up monitoring of traffic and transport system in Lagos?
I must say that we do have one. In fact, we have more than one. LASMA, of course, in their Oshodi office, they have a monitoring room where they can see what's going on. They also have call centers that covers where they cannot see. I must use this opportunity to say, traffic radio that you get to listen to 96.1 all the time. They have cameras in over 400 roads in Lagos that you can see online real time, which is why when you get on to their radio station, they can constantly give you online real-time reports of roads, accidents, or mishap, or anything that happens at every point in time. This traffic radio, of course, is funded by Lagos State. And then we have correspondences, we have our enforcement teams all around who can, of course, from time to time reach out. Just before you walked in, I told you I had to deal with an emergency, something to do with a trailer in Lekki. You know what I mean? We need to constantly deal with all of those issues as they come up. So the monitoring team for Lagos State is superb, I must say. Yes, we can improve on, and we're constantly improving on it. We're also working with, I would not want to mention the name now because it's not signed off already. We're working with another company who, of course, is putting intelligent cameras all around. Those cameras will be for one, security, traffic management, and also for enforcement.
We've had complaints from Lagosians of VIO on the streets. We remember during the Ambodi administration, there was strict policy to say, look, work with the system you have, monitor whatever. So, what's going on? We still see VIO, some of these officials on the road.
Yes, you will see VIO because one of the little challenges we have is data. We're gathering this data, and I'm not sure we're at that point where we can retract all of those guys back to the office. Because what we see is when there's an infraction and our technology picks it up, we only get to see these guys at the point at which they need to come and renew either their vehicle license or do something with the state government. Because the way it works is not everyone in Lagos that goes to do their registration themselves. They use proxies, they use third parties. And then sometimes those third parties put in their phone numbers and their addresses. So when you catch that car, for example, that is registered in a third party's name, the third party gets the notification and not the owner of the car. It's only when the owner of the car needs to do a renewal of his paper that he finds out that he has an outstanding bill, and that's when he can do the needful. And also, I must say, not all of our Lagos roads have those technology yet. It's a going concern. So we still need these men on the road to do this enforcement. And most importantly, Lagos is typical. You have influx of people from all over the world. Lagos is the Japa of Nigeria. So the influx of people you get every day is amazing and overwhelming. Not all of the people you see in Lagos are Lagosians. So you need people on the road to also enforce these things. They're coming from maybe the north, the east, whatever it is. They're not used to a lot of things to do in Lagos. So you need people to knock them back online and to keep them on track.
Thank you very much, Honorable Commissioner. It's been quite interesting speaking with you. So, moving forward, what are the future projected transport development plans, initiatives, ideas Lagosians should be looking out for?
I must say that Lagos is amazing. We've done the blue line, we've done the red line, the green line, which is going to start from Marina all the way to Lekki Free Trade Zone. The MOU has been signed, the right-of-way has been checked, visibility studies and all of what you need to do is ongoing. So that's one project you can look forward to. We're also in the water space. We're having discussions, we are having final approvals and dotting the I's and crossing the T's to improve our waterways. We're doing 25 modern jetties. We're bringing in over 70 electric vessels powered by solar. We're doing new things. The whole idea is to also get some good numbers onto the water so we can decongest the road. So in the rail space, we're doing a lot. On the land, we're expecting about 2,000 CNG buses in our fleet. We have a PPP arrangement with GSC, bringing in 5,000 vehicles, out of which 1,000 is electric car for the e-hailing space. There's a company that is also going to launch very soon. They've brought in about 500 electric vehicles for the e-hailing space as well. Those are your cabs. So things are happening in Lagos, from the water space to the rail to the land.
For the public buses, how are you going to integrate them? Because by the time you bring in these buses, a lot of these yellow buses will go under. How do you intend to integrate them? Or is there any plan really?
Thank you for that question. There are plans and there are initiatives. There's something called the BRI, the Bus Reform Initiative, and there's something called the BITP, Bus in Transit Program. The Bus Reform Initiative is one that the ministry is working, of course, with Lamata to ensure, and we're using Lekki Aja Axis as a test run, pilot run. The old plan is to ensure that we take all of the buses, the yellow buses that you're worried about, we bring them in, get them to sign under a cooperative. They register under a cooperative, we get all their data in, of course, and then they go through the inspection of those buses to ensure they meet minimum standard. They would play the medium capacity role for those routes. We would register them in cooperative, minimum of 50s, and then give them color and all of what they need to do. That way you have the data for them. That way you can monitor them. When there's an infraction, you don't have to start running around like you mentioned. Yeah. Now they have a base you can always go to. I'll give you an example. I mean, they play more in the informal sector. There's a formal sector. If there's an issue with any of buses that are registered on Lamata, all you need to do is to pick their number and you'll be able to pick them up. We're trying to move all of these informal buses to the formal bus. So which is the role that the BRI will play. The moment you do that, the ones that do not fit to be on the road, will pull them out. The high capacity buses will now come into play and serve those roads. There's been a lot of data gathering to say, okay, how many vehicles do we actually need on these roads? Where you need 10, you don't want to put 20. Where you need 10, you don't want to put 5. So a lot of data gathering has been done to identify how many buses that will be needed for every route, and then ensure that you fill that route and ensure that they are well monitored, they are well registered, and we're also going to make electronic payment their mode of payment. So that way you can regulate them, you can put them in shape, and that's in play. For the BITP, it's a program whereby we'll take off some of these buses that are very rickety and give out buses to the drivers under a very flexible payment. You remember days of Molue, they were phased out in that style as well. This is what all of these initiatives will do without taking jobs away from a populace, and you don't want to cause political issues.
Thank you very much. So on the final note, what's your word of assurance, encouragement to Lagosians, transport stakeholders with regards to developing the transport sector?
My final word will be Lagosians. Mr. Sanwo-Olu is very determined to ensure that we have a robust transportational system. He has displayed that in the red line, the blue line, and all of the wonderful transport initiatives that we've been doing over time. We're not going to relent on ours. We'll keep doing this and we'll keep working at it to ensure we provide good service for Lagosians.
Honorable Commissioner, I want to thank you for coming on the platform. Thanks for the interview. Of course, it's been quite expository. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, that's it on the Commissioner's platform, looking at the efforts, initiatives, projects, programs, and futuristic plans of the Ministry of Transport in Lagos. And of course, the Honorable Commissioner has assured Lagosians of better days to come in the transport sector. The City of Lagos TV show will continue in a moment.
Good day, Lagosians. My name is Oyedepo, Commissioner for Transport, Lagos State. I have come here to reassure Lagosians that yes, Lagos indeed is our own, and we shall give you the best transportation system through Mr. Sanwo-Olu. And I say to you, you are yet to see. There's more to come. We have the blue line, we have the red line, the green line is on the way. And of course, our mode of transportation, which is the integrated multimodal transportation system, speaks to water. and speaks to land as well. On our waterways, a lot is coming. You'll see electric vessels come. You'll see beautiful jetties. And I'm reassuring Lagosians that, yes, our waterways are very safe and get on them. Journey time reduced. Good for us. Good timelines to get to our destinations. And of course, on the land, we're expecting high capacity buses, CNG buses, electric buses, environmental friendly buses. I say once again, Mr. Babaji Sanwo-Olu is doing good for Lagos. Yes, Lagosians, we can do this together. We expect that you'll be law abiding, you'll support us and make things happen. Stay blessed. Igbega, Ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó, àjùmọ̀ṣe ni o.
Our business is to discover Lagos from diverse perspectives. Join us again, same time, same station next week for another interesting edition. Remember, Lagos is your choice.